Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Malamed, Shlita. Mishenichnas Adar Marbin B'Simcha. Here we are, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas Teruma, Parshas Shkolim, Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, a 3 Sefer Torah Shabbos, not a very common occurrence. And we enter the month of Adar, we should increase our level of Simcha. But please continue davening for Chalei Tzva Ganei Yisrael, for Shalom L'chol Petuei Yisrael, and the safe return of our hostages. And each and every session we dedicate Le'ilei Nishmat, Seren Daniel Shimon ben Harav, the Ron V'Shalei Hashem Yekum Damo. The next section we have is Kfiyas Makom L'Tefillah. Mitzvah Livchor Beis HaKnesses L'Hispal Bo B'Kfiyas. So it is a mitzvah to choose a shul and to daven there regularly. V'Lishanas Makom Tefillah Lo Tzarech. And one shouldn't change the place where he davens without a need. We learn this from Avram Avinu because the pasuk says, "Vayashkem Avraham b'boker el hamakom asher amad sham es b'nei Hashem." It says Avraham woke up early in the morning and he went el hamakom, where he had stood. Mashma shahay lo Makom Kavua shahayaroga lama bo lefnei Hashem. So we understand from that he had what's called a Makom Kavua, a set place where he stood in front of Hashem. Kviyas hamakom l'tefillah marash hakesher l'kadosh baruch hu muchlat. Shakol sha'ar hadvarim shebalam yichol nishtanos pa'am kan pa'am sham aval hakesher l'kadosh baruch hu kavua v'hayatziv biyoser v'alkein roi sheyiskayim b'makom kavua. The mashmos is, in other words, what are we trying to symbolize when we have a set place for davening? It's to show that we have an absolute connection to God, that everything else in the world, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there, but when we have a connection to God, it is something that is straight, it is consistent, and it is more important than anything else, and that's why we have a set place where we establish that connection. Chazal tell us in the Gemara and Brachas and Davav, he who establishes a place, a set place for davening, then the God of Abraham will be of assistance to him, and his enemies will fall in front of him. So it's not enough just to have a shul where you daven. So not only do you have to have a shul in which you daven regularly, but you have to have a set place within that shul where you daven. And the main thing applies to where you daven Shemona Esrei. Kasher yoshvim al safsalim shezazim at kedima va'achora ulefamim mitztafafim alehem yosra anashim ein tzarech limdod b'centimetrim et hamakom kavua akol haradius shel dalad amos geshnei miterim nechshav kamakom echad. So when, let's say you have seats, he says benches, but let's say we have seats in the shul that move around. So he says you don't have to be so meticulous up to the centimeter, but if you're in the general area where you daven, we call dalad amos. He says 2 meters. Let's say an amma we call 1.5 feet. So let's say 3 feet. If you're in the 3 feet radius of where you normally sit, that's considered your makom kavua, which also the same thing applies when someone's sitting in your seat, by the way, if there's such a thing as your seat. Amnam kasher l'chol adam yeshno kisem yuchad. But let's say everyone has his own chair. Then you should try your very best to sit in your seat, not on a bench, but sit in your seat. So in other words, if you're in one part of the bench, another part of the bench is not a big deal. But if everyone has an individual chair, then you should try and sit specifically on that chair and to daven Shemona Esrei right near there. Now, the aforementioned question that it comes up. So what happens if you come into shul and someone's sitting in your seat? A guest doesn't know that it's your seat. If you know that it's not going to hurt someone's feelings, you can ask the guest to move to a different chair. And here's something that we need to be very, very emphatic about, because people take their shul seats very, very seriously, and they all of a sudden, in the name of halacha, say Makom Kavua. But if it's going to embarrass someone, even in the little slightest amount, then of course it's better to sit somewhere else than chas v'shalom to cause embarrassment to someone else. Vatov biyoser shehagabayim mikablos archim v'yidogu lehem l'makom yeshiva. So what happens is many shuls have gabayim, or they have people that will direct guests and say, is this a good seat? Is that a good seat? I just know that on the rare occasion, again, given that I'm a shul rabbi, so I don't daven in other shuls too many times during the year, but on the occasion that I do, I'll always ask someone if this is an acceptable seat, as a guest to sit in. Hamitzvah likvua makom eino gezeres al Yehudi lagor kol chayev b'osa makom. Now, to establish a place to daven doesn't mean that you have to live in the same place your whole life. Kadei shuchel hamshich lispal makom kavua. See, well, I have a makom kavua, I have a set place. That means I can never move. Ela im yesh la'adam tzarich la'avar dira. But if a person has to move, or if a person wants to switch to a different shul because they have a minyan where he feels he can daven better, then you could change your place of davening. Then you make a new Makom Kavua. In other words, it's not like it's a lifetime contract once you establish a Makom Kavua that you have to be there and in that town and that shul forever. Let's say in your Makom Kavua they don't have a minyan, so then of course you go somewhere else to daven. Because it's more important to daven with a minyan than to daven in your set place. If let's say there is a disturbance taking place near your Makom Kavua, the example is always children making a ruckus, or whatever it might be. Sometimes it's the adults that make a ruckus. That's a shiur for a different time. But if there is a disturbance, it's of course permissible and recommended that one should move one's place from your Makom Kavua so that you can daven properly. Let's say you daven shachris in one place, and mincha marav you daven in a different place. Let's say you daven in your office. So if you have a set place where you daven shachris, and you have a set place in a different location where you daven mincha marav, this is considered makom kavua for tefillah. The same thing applies if, let's say, you daven during the week in one shul, and on Shabbos and Yontif you daven in a different shul. Then the set places within each of those respective locations on those days is considered a makom kavua. But we just say that there is an importance of continuity, of consistency, of establishing a set place where we daven, a schedule, etc. That's all part of this davening. So we wish everyone again a Chodesh Tov, Shabbos, restful, peaceful Shabbos. Please continue davening for Chalei Tzog and Israel, for Shalom and L'chol B'tzui Israel, a safe return of our hostages. Nishmat Saren Daniel Shemon Rav Deron V'Sheli Shem Kam Damo. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you here next week.